The silent darkness of the galaxy was quiet. Too quiet. For years, the Empire had ruled the stars without fear. They had crushed every enemy. They had broken every rebellion. And most of all, they believed one thing with absolute certainty: humanity was gone. The story of Earth was nothing more than a ghost tale now. Centuries ago, the Empire claimed to have destroyed the last human fleets. They burned Earth's skies and left the planet in ruins. The galaxy moved on, thinking the humans were finished forever. But in the far edges of space, in the dark between the stars where no one dared to look, something waited. Something ancient. Something alive. The first to see it were not the mighty fleets of the Empire. It was a small patrol squadron of alien scouts, bored and half asleep in their ships. They floated in the black, joking over comms. "Nothing ever happens out here," one said. "Of course not," another replied. "The humans are dust. No one dares enter this void." But then, silence. The sensors screamed. A shadow appeared on their screens. Something massive, something unnatural, had entered real space. At first, they thought it was a glitch. Static covered their displays, like an old memory trying to force its way through. And then the shape became clear. A warship, not an Empire ship, not a pirate ship, but a ship that should not exist. The patrol captain's voice shook. This design, it's human." The aliens panicked. Their ancestors had told them stories about human warships, death machines built with desperate rage, carrying weapons no other species would dare to create, machines that never stopped fighting, even when their crews were gone. The captain tried to stay calm. It must be a relic, a derelict drifting from another age. Scan it. But as their sensors reached out, the warship moved. Slowly, silently, its engines burned with a cold blue light. The patrol froze in terror. No, it's alive. The ship had awoken. The alien patrol fired warning shots. Beams of energy streaked across the void, exploding harmlessly against the warship's shields. And then, the human ship answered. Its weapons lit up like a storm. In one volley, half the patrol was gone, ships burning, breaking apart, their screams cut short. The survivors fled, sending frantic messages across the stars. Human warship detected. Human warship alive. It's back. The signal spread like fire through the Empire. Admirals laughed at first. Impossible. Humans are extinct. But when more reports arrived, wreckage, survivors trembling, blackened hulks drifting in space, they began to fear. The human warship did not chase them. It simply floated, waiting, as if daring the Empire to come. Its hull was scarred, its armor dark, but it radiated strength, a predator among prey. On its side, burned into the metal, was a single word, defiance. No one in the Empire knew what it meant, but they felt the weight of it. When the Emperor himself heard the news, he summoned his council. "Send a fleet," he commanded. "But sire," one advisor warned, "if this is truly a human ship," the Emperor slammed his fist. "Humans are weak, they are gone. And if one ship remains, then we will burn it like we burned the rest." The order was given. Hundreds of Empire warships prepared to move. Commanders laughed at the idea of fighting one old vessel, but deep in the shadows of the human warship, inside its command bridge, a voice whispered through static. The voice of a captain, calm and steady. "They think we are only one. They think we are weak. Let them come. Humanity remembers." The patrol survivors watched from far away, hiding in broken ships, too afraid to approach. One of them, a young alien ensign, could not look away. His voice trembled as he recorded his final report. "The humans. They are not gone. I saw it. I saw their warship rise from the void. The Empire will send everything, but I know I know it will not matter. And so the galaxy held its breath. The Empire gathered its fleets. The human warship waited in silence. Two forces stood ready to clash, one bloated with arrogance, the other burning with vengeance. The void between the stars was no longer empty. It had given birth to something impossible, something terrifying, something human. And as the stars watched, the first chapter of a new war began. The Empire strikes back. The message spread across the galaxy like wildfire. A human warship had returned. First, the Empire laughed. A ghost ship? An old relic? Impossible. But then came the wreckage. Burned-out patrol ships drifted through the void. Survivors trembled, whispering one word again and again: human. The Emperor could not ignore it any longer. On the high throne of the capital world, his voice thundered. Send the fleets. Bring me the head of this ghost ship. The gathering storm admirals rushed to obey. From across the stars, hundreds of ships assembled: frigates, cruisers, carriers, even dreadnoughts. Their engines burned bright, filling the void with power. On their command decks, officers mocked the old stories. Humans? Ha! Their kind is finished. One warship? We will erase it in minutes. But in the silence between their words, unease lingered. Why did this one ship terrify patrol survivors so much? The warship waits far away, the lone human. Ship Defiance waited in the dark. It did not move. It did not flee. Its massive hull loomed like a shadow against the stars. Inside the ship, a single human captain stood on the bridge. His face was scarred, his eyes cold with memory. He had waited a lifetime for this moment? Contact made? He asked his crew. Yes, Captain, the Empire is coming. He nodded slowly. Good. Let them. The first clash, the Empire fleet arrived with thunder. Hundreds of ships cut into real space, their formation tight and overwhelming. Their commander, Admiral Threx, laughed as he saw the human ship on his view screen. That's it? One old relic? Destroy it. The order was given. A storm of fire erupted. Missiles, plasma, and beams of pure energy rained down on the lone human ship. The void lit up like a burning star. When the glare faded, the alien crews gasped. The human ship still stood. Its shields shimmered, its armor untouched. And then it answered. Defiance unleashed from the belly of the human warship. Its weapons roared to life. Torpedoes streaked across the void. Railguns thundered, firing slugs faster than light. Lasers cut through the dark like lightning. The first wave of Empire ships exploded in silence. Fire and wreckage bloomed in every direction. Entire squadrons were wiped out in seconds. On the Empire flagship, Admiral Threx froze in shock. What kind of firepower is this? Another officer whispered in terror. This is no relic. This is evolution. Fear spreads the battle. Raged on. Every time the Empire thought they had the human ship cornered, it cut through them like a blade. Frigates fell. Cruisers shattered. Carriers burned. The more they fought, the clearer it became. The lone human warship was not fighting to survive. It was fighting to punish. A chilling message suddenly filled the Empire comms. The voice was calm, human, steady. You thought we were gone. You thought wrong. We remember everything. The words echoed through every ship. For the first time in centuries, the Empire felt fear. The Admiral's desperation. Admiral Threx roared in fury. All ships focus fire. Overload every cannon, every missile. I don't care if we burn out the reactors. Destroy that monster. The fleet obeyed. Thousands of beams struck at once. A storm meant to kill even a god. But when the light faded, the Defiance still stood. Scars marked its armor, but its weapons glowed hotter, angrier. The captain spoke again. His voice was soft, almost sad. You learned nothing. You still believe numbers make you strong. But we humans, we learned. Fight when we had nothing left. The turning point, with a single command, the human ship unleashed its hidden weapon. From its core, a massive pulse erupted, an electromagnetic storm. Ancient human technology reborn. Empire ships powered down instantly. Lights died. Engines failed. Weapons went cold. The Empire fleet drifted helpless. Thousands of ships trapped in silence. On the human bridge, the captain whispered, "Now, watch your empire burn." One by one, the Defiance began firing again, picking targets with deadly precision. Flagships shattered. Battleships split apart. The void became a graveyard. The message to the galaxy: the survivors fled, broken and terrified. Admiral Threx's flagship limped away, its pride shattered. The galaxy heard their cries. The humans are back. One ship destroyed us all. And on the silent bridge of the Defiance, the captain turned to his crew. His eyes burned with fire. This was only the beginning. They wanted a war? Then a war they shall have. The void was no longer silent. It belonged to humanity again. Asterisk, asterisk. The Ghost Fleet's secret: the Empire was broken. Hundreds of ships lost. An entire fleet crushed by one vessel. But the galaxy whispered louder now. It cannot only be one. Whispers of alleged merchants, smugglers, and wanderers began to spread rumors. They spoke in hushed tones, afraid the Empire might hear. "I saw it," one alien whispered in a dark tavern. "A human ship alive. Not just one," another swore. Shadows moved behind it, huge shadows. A fleet waiting in the dark. Most dismissed these as drunken tales. But deep down, every species knew the humans never fought with one. Weapon alone. Inside the Defiance, on the bridge of the Defiance, the human captain stood in silence. Around him, crew members worked in shadows, their faces hardened by generations of exile. A young officer broke the silence. "Captain, the Empire now knows. They will send everything next time." The captain's voice was steady, unshaken. "Good. They should see what waits for them." The officer hesitated. "Do you mean the others?" The captain finally turned, his eyes filled with fire. "Yes, it is time the galaxy remembers the Ghost Fleet. The hidden past centuries ago, when Earth burned, humanity had not been as helpless as the galaxy believed. While the Empire celebrated their victory, humanity vanished into the void. They built ships and secret massive war machines hidden in asteroid fields, abandoned moons and nebulae so thick no sensor could see through. Each ship carried the memory of Earth, the rage of a fallen world, and the vow of vengeance. They called it Project Revenant. The plan was simple. Wait in silence until the day came to rise again. The Defiance was the first to wake. But it was not alone. The Empire's fear in the capital world. Panic grew. The Emperor's throne room echoed with voices of fear. "They cannot have more," one general shouted. "It is impossible. We destroyed them." Another argued. But reports kept arriving. Traders had seen massive energy spikes in dead systems. Ghost signals, too organized to be natural, appeared on long-range sensors. One trembling advisor finally said the words none dared to speak. "What if? What if there are more human warships? What if an entire fleet still waits for us?" The Emperor's face turned pale. For the first time in centuries, he felt the weight of doubt. Shadows in the dark, meanwhile. In the void, the Defiance moved silently. Its crew received a coded signal, a whisper carried on ancient frequencies. Captain listened. His heart tightened as he heard the old words. Revenant Protocol. Stand by. The crew exchanged stunned glances. "Captain, the others are waking." The captain's expression did not change. He had been waiting for this moment. "Good. Let the Empire think we are only one. When the truth arrives, their empire will fall in fire. At first sign in a distant system. A small Empire scouting fleet picked up strange readings. Their commander, confused, brought the ships closer. At first, they thought it was debris. Huge, cold shapes drifting near an asteroid belt. But then, one by one, the shapes lit up. Engines burned. Weapons came alive. The scouts realized the nightmare was real. Warships. Human warships. Dozens of them. They tried to escape. None returned. Fear becomes reality when the wreckage of the scouts was found. The Empire could no longer deny it. Humanity was not just back with one ship. Humanity had prepared in silence for centuries. On every world under the Empire's control, fear spread like disease. If one ship destroyed a fleet, they whispered, what will 100 do? The captain's vow on the Defiance. The captain stood before his crew. His voice was calm, but every word struck like steel. The Empire thinks this was our greatest strike. They think Defiance is the only ghost that rose. They are wrong. We were never one. We are many. The ghost fleet will rise together. And when it does, the Empire will finally learn what it means to fear humanity. The crew erupted in silence, their faces grim, but burning with determination. The cliffhanger far away. In the blackness of space, sensors picked up a terrifying sight: 3 more human warships. Emerging slowly from the void, their cannons glowing, their names carved deep into their hulls. Vengeance, Retribution, Revenant. The galaxy would never be the same again. Fire across the stars. The galaxy burned with fear. One human warship had destroyed an Empire fleet. Now, whispers spread. There were more. And then, the whispers became truth. The awakening across the void. Ancient engines roared to life. In hidden systems, asteroids split apart, revealing steel beneath. Entire moons opened like broken shells, releasing massive ships that had slept for centuries. The ghost fleet had awakened. Dozens of human warships, each scarred and waiting, joined the Defiance. Their names glowed with fury. Vengeance, Revenant, Retribution, Wrath. They moved in silence, a storm gathering in the dark. On the bridge of the Defiance, the captain watched as the fleet formed behind him. For the first time, he allowed a small smile. Humanity has returned, he whispered. The Empire strikes back, but the Empire would not fall quietly. On the capital world, the Emperor's rage boiled. His throne room shook as he roared at his generals. You told me they were gone. You told me humanity was ash. Now they return with a fleet? Then unleash the weapon we swore never to use. The chamber fell silent. Every general turned pale. One finally spoke. But sire, the Titan project, it was banned for a reason. Even we cannot control it. The Emperor's voice was ice. Then you will learn control, or you will burn with him. And so, from the Empire's hidden forges, something monstrous rose. The Titan, it was not a ship. It was a world killer. A vessel so vast it blotted out the stars, built with stolen technology, larger than moons. Its hull was black iron. Its core pulsed with stolen suns. The Titan. It carried enough firepower to erase entire systems. Its weapons could pierce planets. Its shields could withstand fleets. The Empire believed it was invincible, and they sent it hunting for the humans. Fire in the dark. The first clash came in a dead system. The ghost fleet stood in formation, waiting. The Titan arrived, escorted by a sea of Empire ships. The void lit up instantly. The Titan fired a single shot, one beam of raw power that tore through the stars. A human ship, the Wrath, was obliterated in an instant. The ghost fleet shook as the wreckage burned. On the Defiance, silence filled the bridge. The young officer whispered, "Captain, we can't fight that." But the captain's voice was steady. "Yes, we can." Humanity's answer, the Ghost Fleet, did not retreat. Instead, the human ships broke formation, moving like hunters around the Titan. Their weapons struck from every angle: torpedoes, railguns, plasma storms. The Titan's shields held, glowing like a star. Then the Titan fired again. Another human warship vanished. The Empire cheered. See, they cannot stand against us. But they did not understand. Humanity never built weapons only for strength. They built for survival. They built for ingenuity. The trick on the Defiance. The captain gave a quiet order. Activate the Phantom Net. Hidden devices, centuries old, came alive. Energy fields rippled across the void. The human fleet began vanishing one by one. Their ships disappeared from sensors, from sight, from tracking. The Empire panicked. Where are they? Where did they go? And then the attacks came. Invisible warships struck from the shadows, firing with deadly precision. Empire ships exploded, one after another, unable to find their killers. Even the Titan shook as hidden. Weapons pierced its armor. The sacrifice, but the Titan would not fall easily. Its core flared, preparing a shot strong enough to erase the entire Ghost Fleet in one burst. On the bridge of the Retribution, a human commander made a choice. His voice crackled across comms. For Earth, for all we lost. The Retribution charged straight into the Titan's mouth of fire. Its engines overloaded, its weapons blazing until the last moment. The explosion tore across the Titan's shields, cracking its armor wide open. The crew of the Retribution was gone, but they had left a wound the size of a canyon. The cliffhanger on. The Defiance, the captain's eyes hardened. He stood tall, pointing at the wounded Titan. Now, he said, aim for the heart. The Ghost Fleet surged forward. Torpedoes screamed. Railguns roared. Lasers burned. The Titan shook, its core exposed, its fire faltering. But just as the humans prepared to finish it, the Titan's core pulsed with unnatural light, something inside it awakening, something even. The Empire had not expected. The void trembled. The battle was not over. Asterisk. The Titan's secret, the Titan, was bleeding. The Retribution's sacrifice had torn a hole in its armor. The Ghost Fleet rained fire into the wound, their cannons roaring with vengeance. And yet, the Titan did not fall. Instead, its core pulsed with something unnatural. A light that was not fire, not plasma, not any weapon the Empire had ever used. The void trembled. The awakening. Inside on the Defiance, sensors screamed warnings. The science officer gasped as readings spiked off the charts. Captain, this is not technology. It's something else. Something alive. Alive. The word echoed across the bridge like a ghost. Inside the Titan, behind its steel, something moved. Something vast. Something ancient. The Empire had not built the Titan alone. They had bound a creature within it, a Leviathan, a living engine of destruction, chained and forced to obey. Now, the chains were breaking. The Emperor's crime far away, on the Empire's capital, the truth was finally spoken. In a chamber of shadows, trembling advisors whispered to one another. They swore the Titan was a weapon of steel, one said, but it was not. It was a prison, another answered. The Emperor found it in the void, a creature older than the stars, and he caged it, made it his slave. The secret burned through the halls of power. The Titan was not the Empire's creation. It was their crime. The beast unleashed. The Titan's core burst open, and the Leviathan roared. It was no longer a ship. It was a monster. Its tendrils of fire whipped across the void, tearing through Empire escorts and human ships alike. Its scream was felt in the bones, in the very soul. On the Defiance, the crew stared in horror. The young officer's voice cracked. Captain, how do we fight something that is alive? The captain's eyes narrowed. Then we do not fight it as a ship. We fight it as a beast. Humanity's gamble, the ghost fleet scattered, dodging the Leviathan's burning strikes. Normal. Weapons barely scratched it. The creature healed as fast as it bled. The science officer whispered urgently. Captain, it is not truly free. It is still chained to the Titan's core. If we break the bindings, the beast may destroy itself, or it may turn on the Empire. The choice was madness. Free the monster and risk it rampaging across the galaxy, or leave it chained and let it crush humanity. The captain made his choice. Prepare the Black Lance. The Black Lance, buried deep within the Defiance, was a weapon built for one purpose. It had never been used. Its power came from the last fires of Earth's dying reactors, carried for centuries. The Black Lance. It was not a missile. It was not a gun. It was a spear of raw energy, designed to pierce through shields, through flesh, through anything. The crew trembled as the weapon charged. If it failed, the Defiance would be torn apart. The strike the Leviathan turned, its burning eyes locking on the Defiance. The monster roared, hurling a storm of fire. Empire and human ships scattered, helpless before its wrath. The Defiance charged forward, straight into the storm. Captain, we won't survive this, the officer shouted. The captain's voice was steel. Then we die with purpose. The Black Lance fired. A beam of pure darkness, sharper than any blade, shot across the void and struck the Titan's core. The chains broke. The silence for one breath. A galaxy went silent. Then the Leviathan screamed louder, deeper, shaking the stars themselves. Its tendrils writhed, tearing apart the Titan from within. Empire ships were shredded like paper. And then it stopped. The Leviathan turned. Its burning gaze fell not on the humans, not on the ghost fleet, but on the Empire. The cliffhanger. The monster spoke not with words, but with thought, echoing across every mind in the system. Humans, you freed me. Empire, you chained me. Now I will judge you all. The Defiance's crew froze, their hearts pounding. The captain whispered, almost to himself, This is no longer our war alone. The Leviathan spread its wings of fire and began moving toward the Empire's heartworlds. The ghost fleet was left with a terrible question. Had humanity just unleashed their greatest ally, or their greatest doom? Judgment of fire the galaxy. Burned. The Leviathan moved through the stars like a living storm. Every strike of its tendrils tore apart ships. Every roar shattered fleets. Entire worlds watched in silence as the monster passed overhead, its wings of fire spreading across the sky. And yet, it did not destroy everything. It chose. The judgment on one world loyal to the Empire. The Leviathan descended. The planets. Defenses lit up, cannons firing into the void. The monster ignored them. Instead, it reached into the minds of the people below. Millions screamed as a voice entered their heads. You served chains. You built prisons. You obeyed tyranny. You will burn. The Leviathan opened its jaws, and the capital city was gone. In one breath of fire. On another world, the Leviathan came, but instead of fire it whispered. You resisted. You hid the hunted. You gave shelter to the weak. You will live. And the monster left them untouched. The galaxy realized the truth. The Leviathan was not blind rage. It was judging every world. Humanity watches on the Defiance. The crew stood in silence as they tracked the Leviathan's path. Captain, the officer whispered, it spares some, destroys others. It is choosing. The science officer's voice trembled. It is older than our species. Older than the Empire. Maybe older than the galaxy itself. And now, it judges who deserves to survive. The crew looked to their captain. Would humanity be spared? or destroyed? The Emperor's fear in his throne world. The Emperor raged. He had unleashed the Leviathan. Now it hunted his empire, burning loyal worlds one after another. Summon the Crimson Guard. Summon every fleet, he roared. I will face it myself if I must. But inside, he trembled. For the first time, the Emperor felt something he had. Not known in centuries. Fear. The Leviathan speaks to humanity. The Leviathan's voice reached the ghost fleet, echoing inside every human mind. Humans, you freed me from chains, but I see your fire. I see your hunger. You are not innocent. You too are dangerous. The crew froze. The captain clenched his fists. What do you want from us? He asked aloud, though no coms were. Open. The Leviathan answered. Prove yourselves. Show me why you must endure, or I will end you as I end them. The bridge fell silent. Humanity had been given a test, not by the Empire, not by war, but by something older and far greater. Trial. The Leviathan created a storm of energy across the system. Space itself twisted. Human ships were dragged into a battlefield of fire and shadow. The science officer shouted, It's testing us. It's forcing us to fight not the Empire, but the void itself. Asteroids shattered into razor shards. Gravity bent into traps. Lightning storms danced in the emptiness. The ghost fleet struggled to survive. Every maneuver, every decision was being watched. Judged out on the Defiance. The captain barked orders, steering them through impossible dangers. Hold the line. Don't give in. Show it what humanity is. A sacrifice within the trial. The Vengeance. A human warship was caught in the storm. Its engines failed, dragging it toward a collapsing rift. The crew of the Defiance watched in horror as the Vengeance broadcast its last words. For humanity, for Earth, for tomorrow. The ship detonated, tearing a hole in the storm so the others could escape. The Leviathan's voice rumbled again, softer this time. Sacrifice. For others, not for power, I see. The cliffhanger. The storm ended. The ghost fleet floated in silence, battered but alive. The Leviathan's vast form loomed over them, its burning eyes fixed on the Defiance. You are not like the Empire, but you are not free of fire either. I will test you again, and if you fail, your species will end. And then, without warning, the Leviathan turned and set its path toward the Empire's throne world. On the Defiance, the captain whispered, It's going to the Emperor. The crew stared at the screen. They knew one thing. When the Leviathan and the Emperor met, the galaxy would never be the same. Asterisk. The last stand. The Leviathan reached the throne world. Billions watched as the sky tore apart. Its wings of fire spread across the atmosphere, turning night into endless burning day. The Empire's fleets filled the void, their formation a shield, around the Emperor's planet. But everyone knew it was useless. The Leviathan had judged, and it had come to deliver its sentence. The Emperor's Defiance in the throne hall. The Emperor stood before his people. His voice echoed with pride and venom. You call me tyrant. You call me jailer. But I am the one who bent gods to chains. I am the one who rules the stars. He raised his hand. Energy rippled through the air. From deep under the throne. A second. Core rose, an ancient relic, stolen long ago, glowing with the same fire as the Leviathan. The Emperor had not only chained one monster, he had stolen the heart of another. The duel of gods. The relic fused with his body. His eyes burned with unnatural fire. His voice shook the void itself. I am no longer man, he roared. I am eternal. The Leviathan answered with a scream that shook worlds. The battle began. The Leviathan struck with tendrils of flame. The Emperor countered with blades of pure energy. Their clash ripped moons apart. Cities below crumbled from the shockwaves. It was not war. It was apocalypse. Humanity's choice on the Defiance. The crew stared in horror. The science officer whispered, "Captain, the Emperor bound himself to the same power. If he wins, he will enslave the Leviathan again, or worse, become it." Captain's jaw clenched. And if the Leviathan wins? Silence filled the bridge. If the Leviathan destroyed the Empire, who would it judge next? Humanity was still under trial. The captain finally spoke. "Then we choose. Not for survival, for the galaxy." The plan the Ghost Fleet launched one final strike. Not against the Emperor, not against the Leviathan, against the throne world's core. If the world's energy collapsed, both monsters would be dragged into the rift. It was suicide. It was madness. But it was hope. The sacrifice the Defiance led the charge. Empire ships tried to stop them, but the Ghost Fleet cut a burning path. Every human vessel gave everything: plasma bursts, railguns, ramming attacks. The Defiance reached the core's defense ring. "Captain," the officer said, her voice breaking, "if we fire, there's no going back." The captain's hands rested on the console. His eyes closed for one heartbeat. He thought of Earth, of the billions who had died when the Empire first struck, of the billions more who might yet live. He opened his eyes. Fire. The end of the throne world. The Defiance unleashed its full arsenal. Torpedoes screamed. Cannons roared. The core cracked. The Emperor turned, his rage splitting the stars. No! The Leviathan struck him in that instant, hurling him into the heart of the collapsing world. The core shattered. The throne world burned. The Emperor and the Leviathan were dragged into the abyss together, their roars echoing across the galaxy. Before silence swallowed them, the aftermath, a Ghost Fleet floated among ruins. Half their ships were gone. The Defiance was shattered, its hull bleeding fire, but it still lived. The galaxy listened in silence. For the first time in centuries, the Empire's throne was empty. The Emperor was gone. The Leviathan was gone. And humanity remained. The captain's voice, weak but steady, carried across every comb. "This war is over, but our trial is not. The galaxy must decide what comes next. Together." The final message weeks later, as new governments formed, one signal echoed across the stars. A warning or a promise that it was not from the Empire. Not from humanity. It was the Leviathan. Its voice reached only once, carried through broken space. "I sleep, but I remember. Prove yourselves worthy, or I will return." The message ended. Across the galaxy, species trembled. Some feared. Some hoped. And on the bridge of the Defiance, the captain whispered to himself, "We will be ready."